Well, first of all, Stephen and team, thanks for having picked up the questions from the network. So thanks, network. Please bombard us with your questions and your comments. All those that we can't address due to lack of time or lack of details, we will certainly address later on, as Stephen has announced earlier, and you will find them back on your favorite website. As to the question of Ursula, the post-2015 engagement, I think this is going to be key for Global Water Partnership. Yeah? Maybe you want to take that whole complex of the SDGs and the COP21 as an opportunity rather than a threat forward.
Well, I think it is a real opportunity for Global Water Partnership, and as we have been so actively involved in really designing the goal number 6, looking into water-related issues, and we are also very actively involved in providing inputs with the knowledge of our partners on the ground to establish a good methodology for measuring and monitoring the water-related issues and looking into the indicators, which will take some more time during next year. So this is really the first step to come up with a good set of indicators and clear-cut monitoring elements for the global water goal, but not only for the water goal, but for the connectivity between water and health and urban issues, gender-related issues, climate change. There are many things where we, with our experience on the ground, can enter into cooperation and partnerships with other non-governmental and intergovernmental organizations, and hopefully also provide our experience to the donors in their activities. So I think there's a lot we can do together. Also then looking on what we have been doing together with the OECD in our research work on the global dialogue on water security and sustainable growth. That means there are many entry points. I assume we will focus in particular on looking into the climate change related issues. And with that, I would really want to also come back to what the colleagues from Bangladesh have mentioned. That means, well, the vulnerability of these countries, related to water-prone disasters. We can only really encourage you to share with your partners on the ground the knowledge and the experience available. And I do hope that our colleagues in the local and the country water partnership in Dhaka can really support that work, which is so important. Thank you.
Maybe if you allow me, Stephen, as moderator, the keyword toolbox is jumping to attention. And the toolbox is one of the many means we have through which the partners amongst themselves can communicate and share knowledge, as you've indicated, Ursula. And I'd like to contextualize that toolbox a bit with the other means that we have, together with you, developed and have made available, some with a bigger success and others still in early stages of development. So let me give you a flavor of actually the 6, 7 major opportunities we have to exchange knowledge, to document knowledge, and to share so that we can actually apply. The toolbox, definitely one, and it's as active and as good as you make it. So the cases that you contribute are the lifeblood of the toolbox. It's not a dead set of cases. Maybe some cases can be brought in, others need to go. But let me remind you, we have something which is called a moderated listserv, through which you can ask and post your questions, which are then approved for circulation. And of course, when they are, that's the idea that you respond to your peers with answers, suggestions, cases, and other references. A second modality that we have is the Global Water Partnership search function, which you will find on our website, your website. Here you go, you click on a world map, you can find who's available where for which kind of action, and you search your counterpart, the institution you'd like to exchange views or whatever experiences with. This information, as I say, will be subsumed and made available after this meeting for your reference. Then we have in certain regions, and I must congratulate the partners in the countries and the regions to do so. In certain regions, the regions have created a collaborative space for knowledge sharing. Just as an example, if you go to the Caribbean, you will find on their website, because they have a dedicated website, a clear reference as to how to get in, how to share, and how to get out. So we'd like to encourage the countries and the other regions to do so. So that was the fourth of the 6, 7 means we have. Another one is if you have events in your region, like for instance the Institute for Water Modeling in Bangladesh, if you have events in the region, in your own institution, in your country, that you would like to make available, invite other colleagues, other peers, inside and outside the box, to attend, please go to our news flow, announce the event. I'm sure you will get a lot of more interested parties than just using your regular ways of communicating that you're into a knowledge event. And last, and this is something where we should say these are the social media possibilities, we have a LinkedIn group, which is called a professional LinkedIn group. And you've heard earlier on that we can also use Facebook. So with those options, I would like to invite you to not only do the toolbox, but use the other opportunities as well for your, if you want, south-south, as you mentioned, exchange of experiences, knowledges. Of course, the corresponding documentation. So thank you very much, partners out there in the field. This was a very concrete question and hopefully a similarly concrete invitation for you to share more. I would like to take this opportunity. We had received, of course, earlier questions in the run-up to this network meeting. We've also visited some of the documented General Assembly minutes in which questions around how the network functions, how knowledge is shared, and how partnerships are strengthened. Actually, thanks to your contributions, we've selected about 10 clusters of recurrent issues which are often referred to when partners engage with their respective country water partnerships, regions, or the Secretariat. And thank you for that, and we'd like to keep you to it. So a first cluster is sharing information amongst the partners themselves. Well, I just gave you 7 options around that. So you will find that extensive list of options in the how-to on our website in the very immediate future. A second cluster of questions is how to create platforms to strengthen capacities. This is a particular issue that came from Central Africa, and thank you partners in Cameroon for bringing this forward. By the way, this broadcast is in English, and we know that not everybody is as fluent in English as the Anglophiles are, and the Anglophones, of course. This is exactly the point that our colleagues in the Cameroon raised. What options are there that we can communicate in the other languages? Well, I'm sure that the list of 7, let me call them, that we introduced this exchange with, offer you sufficient opportunities to engage in your own language. There is no exclusivity in that sense. So if you are able to communicate that through local platforms, we would just invite you to inform us so that we can link maybe people, the Francophones from the Caribbean to Western Africa, the Lusophones all across the Latin Americas and Africa. Of course, people who prefer another common language, that they be able to link to such a platform. A third, if you want, cluster of questions that we've picked up from your feedback and from the General Assemblies is, how can we maintain a lead function in consultations and networking for change? And that is, the we is of course the partners, people on the ground like you. And we'd like to first of all congratulate you for this suggestion, because we think without you there is no such lead. Valuable experiences, as you know, are being gathered around gender, that was announced earlier, but also around youth. And actually we are very grateful that a youth strategy is emerging, will be announced hopefully after what is the
Stockholm
European
Water
summer,
Week.
yes, at the Stockholm Water Week. And with it, we think we have another opportunity for you to lead and network on. We've, number 4, we've heard the request to update the toolbox and to include decision support materials. Yet again, this is a question that comes from, for instance, the NGO sector that is strongly represented in our partnership. The illustration from Bangladesh is probably enough to contextualize this. Just let me get one thing right here. It's not just that partners can document their experience and non-partners are excluded. No, we invite the partners as much as the non-partners, because we're talking about a public good here, to improve our toolbox so that we can share it across all sectors, public or otherwise. Say?
Maybe I would want to come back to what Rudolph has said related to the youth strategy.
Very well. Mm-hmm.
I'd forgotten to mention that in my introductory remarks, but this is really of high importance to us, and we are really very happy that hopefully in late August we can launch our youth strategy, including support for young water leaders, well, as they are the ones who have to really find their way in the challenging life related in particular to water and climate change in the years ahead. And I do think that we have in particular in the Asia-Pacific region, together with the Asian Development Bank, a lot of entry points where we can cooperate and really get the part of our work, advocacy, knowledge, and so on, then down to our young people, the young generation, get their voices more actively involved in the water sector. This is something very close and dear to my heart.
Thank you, Ursula. Maybe to complement and round this up, we're very grateful to our partners who enable to bring in also those youth that do not speak English or not as their first language, the Francophone youth. And particularly in the leading up to the COP21 in Paris, they will, with the partners on the ground, because they are youth partners, elaborate a white book. So it's very concrete, it's hands-on, it will lead to attitudinal change, we hope, and it's an expression of our engagement of youth. There's others, but this is a solid illustration.
Francophone Africa.
Francophone Africa, spiced in with others who feel Francophone enough to join. Maybe around a last remark around the knowledge dimension of your questions. Very often, and Ursula made reference to the knowledge assessment which is undertaken courtesy of our Danish finance partner. Many of you have requested that regional technical committees or reference groups be put in place, be interactive with you, tap your knowledge, bring back knowledge from other regions, other sectors. And we are grateful for your question, because this is a question we will convey to the group that does the assessment. They are actually on the ground in Southern Africa and Eastern Africa, verifying how this is best done. We cannot possibly go to all 13 regions, but the fact that this question has come up is enough and very encouraging that we can bring it back to these assessors, so we have a real anchoring in your interests of this issue. The sixth one, and I may have to speed up, is about the partnership base. Our chair has addressed this as well with you. We'd like to ensure that the backlog actually returns to zero. In other words, that we speed up with the country partnerships and the Secretariat the process through which your applications as a partner are thoroughly, say, investigated, supported, and then, of course, processed. In the course of the governance reform that was related to, there may well be changes to ensure that that partnership base is the most proactive possible. So that could be including options such as any new partnership registration request being supported by existing ones, so that we know that anybody who joins to strengthen the Global Water Partnership is indeed responsible and accountable to the network and not just to oneself. The link between the country water partnerships and the communities, that will be something very base, very programmatic, and yet again we welcome that you embrace this concept. We feel that although the financial structure of our current 8 supporters is such that we will most likely not be able to contain to grow up to 20-30 million euros in annual turnover. We feel that we need to consolidate your capacities, your interaction with your country partnerships and the regions in order to then take a next step. Let me sum up that we'd be very grateful, as you yourself have suggested, that you bring in more national partners, not just the current diversity we have, but you may bring in just friends and family from other sectors as well, so that we have a holistic overview of sectors and non-sectors, sorry, not non-sectors, not typically water sector, in our partner family. It's very enriching to see people from the energy sector dialogue with partners from the ecosystem sector, from the ministry, from a nomadic group, and everything in between. Last, and certainly not least, is the issue of the sustainability of impact of our programs on the ground with you. And this is, of course, something where we need your advice. How to meaningfully engage with you beyond the funding periods that are usually 3 or 4 years, the typical project interventions. If we manage from day one to get a clear picture with you of the sustainability prospects, we feel very much more secured in approaching donors, both domestic in your countries as well international, to ensure that they feel comfortable that the Global Water Partnership, in its different declinations, but basically the network, will render the necessary services and changes that come with these services. With that network, I think we have taken a broad view at a large series of questions that you've made available to us, and we hope that these questions are sufficiently answered for now. We will put them again, as I said, on the web, and we encourage you to come back to us with concrete cases how you, as a partner, would like to engage to make these suggestions a reality. Thank you very much.
Well, this is really an important issue. Let me just tell you that in the case of our steering committee meetings, well, we meet twice a year physically to look into important issues and where decisions have to be taken. But we have now started on a quarterly basis to have a virtual exchange of views and dialogue with the steering committee members. We have started the same with the chairs of our regional water partnerships. That means we have at that level started such a virtual exchange, which is really very productive. We want to do more on that, and I'm sure we can try and really activate such broader-based meetings in the future as well. It's a little more complex to get it arranged, but I think with modern communication techniques it should be possible, and we should make best use of it, including, and I should mention that, the chair of our technical committee, Dr. Mohammed Ait Kadi, has also started to have virtual meetings with his committee members from time to time, which is a very productive way to open up the dialogue and activate the dialogue beyond the regular, rather limited meeting opportunities.
Yes, maybe just to complement the contacts of our chair with her counterparts in the regions at the level of the operations that are supported by the Secretariat. We have a similar virtual exchange. The next level, if you want to, is of course how to continue engaging the network. We have webinars, we have e-learning. You're maybe familiar with that or not, but should you not, please go back to the website, pick a keyword and find your way through. We will support you then, of course, in getting where you are. Maybe what we ought to say in all frankness is that the virtual engagement of the network does not replace the hands-on, knowing what goes on the ground. So we're really looking forward to come visit you in your countries, either in the context of a project assessment or an evaluation, or in the context of your general assemblies that we'd like to strengthen. Let's not forget what our chair has introduced under the governance reform, where she clearly made a statement around how the regions and the network represented through the regions will play a more predominant role in shaping the global water partnership, both the network as well as the organization. My first suggestion would be you get in touch with your colleagues, the other partner organizations that together, of course, constitute the Cameroon Global Water Partnership. And in your exchanges with the Cameroon Water Partnership, you will find, possibly to your surprise, that there's so many things going on that you could easily relate to. You may also find that you can enrich the Water and Climate Development Program in your region by suggesting other venues, other avenues, other entry points, complementary action that brings in partners, other partner organizations that have not yet considered affiliation with the Global Water Partnership. So rather than look to the Secretariat for, if you want guidance, please go and visit your local country water partnership first, relate to the others in your region, and then through the program managers, the regional coordinators, possibly your regional chair and secretariats, the steering committees, you can then certainly find a way to contribute to the success of your national or sub-regional water and climate development program. Thank you much. Thank you very much for this keen interest in strengthening impact towards water security.
Thank you, Rudolph. Maybe before handing over to Stephen to wrap up our very interesting meeting, one wish I had to you all. We have the Financing for Development conference in Addis Ababa coming up, where a lot of focus will be given to local fundraising and mobilizing domestic savings. I think this is really an issue, and I'm an economist, and I've been working in development banking for many, many years, where you all, our network partners, can come up with ideas how to really stimulate such activities on the ground, to come with good examples through the country water partnerships and through the regional water partnerships, hopefully still then to canalize that and channel this to the various representatives also at the non-governmental civil society level in Addis Ababa, to just provide best examples and best practices. In water, a lot of investments have to happen, and I think with our experience we could at least make some little small steps and contributions to that. So just as a kind of message and something to continue looking into. Thank you very much, and now I will be handing over to Stephen to wrap up.